everyone. Welcome to the latest episode of On the Hook, the official podcast of Yellow Pike Media. I'm very excited for today's episode. I get to introduce two of our newest team members, Alex and Shane, who have recently just joined the team. And we're going to discuss my favorite topic, influencers, making it easier for brands to find you, how to go about doing all the things the right way so that brands will want to work with you, and you can get in on this incredible space. Make a little money. So we'll start with Alex. Hi, Alex. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. So tell us a little bit about yourself. You've been here in a slightly different role for a little while now, but now you've joined us full time. Give us a little bit of where you came from and what you do here at Yellow Pike.
Yeah, so I've been here since November on a contract position. Recently started full time. I had a great time as a contractor, and I think you all liked me too. So now I'm here full time. Before this, I come from a nonprofit background. So I was working at Starlight Children's Foundation, where I helped lead the Stream for Starlight campaign for 3 years. And that campaign is really focused on bringing influencers and content creators, mostly on Twitch, some on YouTube, into Starlight's mission, getting them acquainted with us, and then asking them to fundraise for us. So that's where I came from, and now I'm here.
Awesome. Huge in the gaming space right now to do fundraising and peer-to-peer charity work. Shane, welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
What
Yeah,
are you doing?
For sure. Yeah, what am I doing? That's always my wife asks me all the time. So yeah, I'll run it back. So I've been in the space for say 12 years or so. After college, I became a full-time content creator myself in the gaming space. So a lot of YouTube then, streaming was a little bit less. Formerly known Justin TV, that then became Twitch, as we know. So yeah, I got my start on YouTube making gaming videos, say like Team Fortress 2, Battlefield franchise, and I found out about a little company called Machinima, which is really the first gaming MCN gaming network out there. Joined them in a professional sense in 2012 after being partnered and learning you can make money doing this content and monetizing your content. That is absolutely wild. So was very passionate about that, and kind of that was my start in the industry. So I was at Machinima for 7 years until the company literally closed. Various roles over there, from network recruitment, talent management, brand management, content programming, things of that nature. After that was to 3 Black Dot, more of a boutique talent agency here in Los Angeles for talent management. After that then was at Ben, Brand Entertainment Network, for more client-facing roles, such as working with various companies in the gaming space. And then most recently here we'll be running our accounts team. So super excited to get up to speed on all the cool projects we have going on and clients, and keeping the ball rolling with all the great work we've been doing.
Shane is what we like to call well-traveled. He's been a little bit of everywhere. He's our own personal Johnny Cash. So I gave a little tease of what we're going to be talking about, influencers and how to make it easier for brands to find you and to work with you, right? So let's start off talking about what should you do to just make it generally easier to be found, right? What sort of information should you put out there while being safe? Because internet's still the Wild West, and safety is of utmost importance. What sort of information do you need to have readily present? Alex, I know you've been doing a lot of research lately. What is the one thing, if you could tell an influencer, do this thing for me so I can help find you because I may have money?
Ooh, I did have multiple things, but I would say the one most important thing is there needs to be a way to contact you. Like, please, please, if we're trying to give you money, we're trying to give you a sponsorship, we look at your content, we love what you do, we think that you'd be a perfect fit, but if there's no email, how are we going to contact you? So I would say, either if you don't want to use your personal one, if it has your full name in it or anything, you can make one specifically for your influencer work. Be sure to put that in. I would recommend every bio that you have, but at least one bio, whether that's your Twitter, your Twitch, your YouTube, Instagram, just somewhere, please, so we can get in touch.
I feel like this is going to be a common refrain. Shane, what would you say?
Yeah, so basically I'm just going to build off what Alex says here is understood if you don't want to do your full name, last name, understood, but typically a first name is appropriate, and then your creator name or your brand. Say for me, like I'm Shane, but in the gaming sense, I'd be Shibby. That was my gamer tag, my gamer name. So I'd have that. Highly recommend not using a personal email, but a business focus email. And something that you would check ideally once a day, because communication back and forth, especially when things get busy, is very important. And location. So I'd say state, or if you live by a big city, that's helpful for geographics. But again, building off what Alex was talking about, on YouTube, for example, please have your About tab updated. And with that, links and kind of what you're about. That's always super helpful, and things that in my searching and the work we do here is super helpful. Something I'd recommend, say for like Twitter, for example, a lot of people do a link tree to where you can have all your socials, Instagram, TikTok, Discord link, etc. right there, super easy to find. That's definitely like going above and beyond, but I think a link tree or something like that is super helpful. And then on Twitch, if you're a streamer, having your About Me section under your stream, having those updated, having them clickable, what you're about, all that stuff is really helpful when trying to learn about, obviously we've found you, but just a little more about you is super cool and really helpful for on our end when we're recommending like lookalike talent to create clients, one sheets, pulling your metrics, all that stuff is helpful for selling you. Make it easy for us to sell you. And obviously we're looking for brand safe. If you're out there getting crazy on social, we see that. Brands see that. Clients see that. So when it comes to the
That's a
approval,
huge point.
when it comes
It's
to the approval
forever.
process, yeah. Just be aware of that. So if you're wondering, why am I not getting hit up for any brand deals, or agencies aren't reaching out to me for sponsorships, things of that nature, if you are getting wild and crazy on social or your content, and that's who you are, that's great. But for most of the folks that I've worked with previously or currently, you need to be more brand safe leaning. We're not talking like Disney, Mickey Mouse, no swearing, but just if there is that sponsorship opportunity, be able to dial it back a little bit and just understand that there will be probably rounds of notes on your content and feedback, and being open to that, like stuff like that in a business sense is very helpful. But I'd say pulling it all back, first thing would be a business contact email is super, super helpful. So on your Twitter bio, for example, if you want to go into the link tree route, again, that's going above and beyond. So yeah, that'd be my recommendation for sure.
Absolutely. I agree with everything there. I love Linktree. If I go to a creator and I see they have a Linktree, it's like, oh, it's like somebody left me a treasure chest. Now I can find all your socials. I can learn everything about you, because I may not go, and I know Alex has done this a few times too, and probably you in the past, Shane. I don't always go to the most obvious place. Twitter for me generally is the fastest, easiest place to find someone. Or we may just do a Google search on your creator name, and whatever the first result is, we'll go and look. And if that doesn't give us any information, now we've got a little bit of problem, because we have to figure out how to find you, because you're not helping us. And I know some folks out there are going to have two arguments about this. Oh, well, I want my business email to be really professional, so I have to buy a .com, and then I got to. No, you don't. Use a Gmail account. It's fine. It's free. That's what I use. Actually, fun story. That's how Alex found me for an activation with Starlight, is through a Gmail. But it was where, Alex? Sitting right on my Twitch page.
Yes,
It was right there, easy to find. So yeah, Linktree, you don't need to be branding your email. Just creator name at Gmail is more than fine. We don't judge you on creator name 472, because everybody uses Gmail. So there's no judgment in any of that. The easier you make it to find yourself, the more likely you are to get brand deals. And I would say the corollary to make sure you have an email, Shane touched on it, check it regularly. Yes, I know your DMs are open. Yes, I know you have Discord. Yes, I know I could just tweet at you, but our first line of outreach is always email. It sounds old and outdated, and it's not hip and it's not cool, but this is business. This is business. It's not the creator life. It's actual. How do you get in front of a brand? Because I'm telling you, a lot of times the brands, it's email to us, it's email back to them. If I have to track you down and copy and paste things, you're instantly less desirable. So have a solid email. Make sure you check it frequently.
Yeah, and building off that, one thing that creators often I'd run into is when there is that correspondence of sharing a brief or an opportunity and say, it's me and a team member, or me and my manager, or what have you, remembering to reply all. That's definitely one thing of it's a big pain in the butt to just getting that initial reply when it's helpful if it's a bigger activation or a team thing, reply all. So that is another, that wouldn't be my first thing, but that would be one suggestion that I know creators struggle with. And another big helpful tip as far as finding you, one thing that I personally appreciate is when there's consistent branding. And I understand that, for example, getting, I'll use the example of Ninja, getting at Ninja on Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, like all that stuff, that's very difficult. But if you have a name that you understand is unique to you, and if you have some numbers on it, that's what I had to do personally with my YouTube and whatnot. But having that consistent across all the links is always nice. So that's something you can secure. That's a bonus. It doesn't rule you out, but that's something that I always appreciate as far as consistent branding. So something that is a nice kudos.
That's actually a really good point. Don't do what I do. I think I have 5 different names I use across. I'm really easy to find. It's just if you're looking for something specific, you'll never find me. So yeah, that's a really good point. And it doesn't have to be, on the nose, right? So like you said, if you have to John 123, then do John 123 or John TV or John, whatever. That's perfectly fine. No one is going to mark you down for that, on the brand side and the deal side. So you said a couple of things in that intro, and I kind of want to touch on them because they're things that many creators may not know that we do. We throw industry terms out all the time, and one of them is lookalikes. Shane, can you explain what a lookalike is?
Sure. So something that when we are talking to clients or doing pitch decks, what have you, and we'll put someone who we think would be a great fit, but we don't know, again, if they're interested, if they're available, if they're going to be on vacation, if they're taking time off streaming that hasn't been announced yet, that we don't see on Twitter or socials, because again, we look at this stuff before typically making any recommendations. But yeah, lookalikes is folks that we think would fit, that's kind of in the same vein, the same line. Typically will play in the same genre, in the same space. Say, for example, if I'm playing Escape from Tarkov, you're looking at extraction shooter, first-person shooters, a little more hardcore than casual. You could recommend someone like, say, Landmark, who I love to watch, but maybe he's not available, or maybe the client doesn't love him for whatever particular reason. But having, we'd get someone like this, for example. I think that's always some way to think about it, and it just kind of gets the client thinking in that certain sense. But yeah, that's how I consider a lookalike recommendation.
Nice. And Alex, we were talking about brand safety coming from the nonprofit space. Very big deal. Explain what brand safety really means to a creator and what they should be watching out for. A lot of it depends on their individual brand, right? I mean, Dr. Disrespect is not brand safe, but a lot of brands use them. So it's not the be all end all. Typically, though, not the case. So when you're looking for creators and we dig a little, what are you looking for to make sure they're brand safe? What do we mean?
Right. So it does depend on which brand you're working with. But for instance, when I was in the nonprofit space, one thing that we'd look for and sometimes flag was if they had an OnlyFans that they were not just like sitting in the link tree, but like actively publishing on Twitter, most specifically, sometimes Instagram. We would want to flag that as like, because we were a children's charity, maybe it wouldn't be a great look for our tweet of their stream to end up right next to some of their OnlyFans content. So that was like the main brand safety that I worked with at a nonprofit. Let's see. Additionally to that, we look for, or it depends, but I personally look for if there's any inappropriate jokes that just wouldn't vibe well with the client. I'll be sure to mark that. And then speaking of, if it's on Twitter, it's forever. Depending on the client, we'll make sure to search your Twitter using their keyword to see if you've said anything positive or negative about them, and also flag that.
Awesome. Yeah, I think one of the things a lot of people get wrong about brand safety is they, like you said, Shane, they think it means I have to be Disney safe, right? And it really doesn't. One of the things that we do look for here a lot at Yellow Pike is, do you match the game? So, for example, if we're working on an E for everyone game, brand safety means something different than if we're working on a mature 17 plus game. What fits in that mold is going to be a little bit different, and every client's going to be a little bit different, right? So brand safety is a broad term. Don't let it freak you out too much, but be aware of it. Make sure you are representing your personal brand as accurately and authentically as you can at all times, so that you just don't drive someone off, for the wrong reasons or a mistaken incident that you can never get back because it was the internet. I want to move forward a little bit because we're talking a lot about how do you get noticed? What are the things to help you? What is it we're looking for? We talked a little bit about lookalikes, where it's not it's not that I don't want Shroud, but I need someone that looks like Shroud because the budget is this or that. When we start doing research and we start talking about project relevance and, is this the right type of content for this? That can mean a lot of different things depending on the project. But Alex, give me an example of, something that would be project relevance. Like we're working on a title and we need a type of creator that matches that brand. A lot of brands will be very specific, and others will be kind of like, well, we just want someone in this general, kind of hand wavy space.
Yeah, luckily, what I've worked on so far, a lot of brands have been very specific. So some details they've given us are the not follower count, but CCV on Twitch. They'll have a threshold for that. And then also, depending on the game, if it's an update to one that's already existing, or if it's a brand new game that people haven't gotten the chance to play yet because it's not out, they'll give us a genre of people to look for. So saying, like Shane's example earlier, first person shooter, if we're working on a upcoming game that's a first person shooter, then we'll go look at current games like that and see, do they play a variety of FPS? Do they only play one FPS? What does that mean for this upcoming game? Would they be interested in it?
Yeah, absolutely. And we also look at, if you're known for Warzone, right? And when you switch to Tarkov because there's nothing cool and new happening in Warzone, does your audience drop or go up? We're going to look at that because Alex mentioned CCV, which is really, especially for streamers, the driving number. I won't go into my whole spiel about subs and follows and how much we ultimately don't care. It's all about the CCV. It's actual eyeballs, who's watching you. And if that goes up or down, depending on the game you play, we take that into account as well. You started to nod really firmly, Shane, at the CCV comment. Why?
Yeah. It's because that is our key performance indicator, a KPI, as you'd call it in the industry. That CCV for streaming, to me, is really the be-all, end-all. Again, you touched on followers or current subscribers, watch hours, like all that's great to kind of report on afterwards. But really, it's can you carry your weight if you switch off from, say, you're a Warzone streamer, you go play Tarkov, you go play Fortnite, you go play Rainbow Six, whatever it is, because that's where that value is for that potential sponsored opportunity, which is likely not going to be your main game if it's going to be a game sponsorship, for example. So that's something that I would definitely look for. And then on YouTube, again, your subscriber count. Subscribers are different from YouTube and Twitch. Just be mindful of that. But say you have 5 million subscribers on YouTube. That's amazing. But also, what's your average views per video? That's, to me, is a very important metric to, if you're getting 100,000 views per video, we'll use Warzone again as the example, but then you go and play a Rainbow Six, a Fortnite, whatever, again, that sponsored opportunity is, and you get 20,000 views, that hurts the potential to upsell you next time, or maybe the client, or on our end, we need to set that expectation from looking at your history. If it's like a Twitch tracker, what have you, that's typically what happens. But if you can maintain that variety and people show up to watch you, again, that is the golden goose, I think, of content, to where you have a main game that's great, but really the audience is showing up for you. And if you can play whatever the heck you want, and you'll get your 1,000 concurrent every time. To us, that's super valuable and really, really helps us sell you and get the client to buy in. So just be mindful of that. So yeah, CCV if you're talking streaming, and then on YouTube would be more average views per video. Again, if you had a viral video that did 10 million views, again, that's great. But if you're uploading, say, daily, weekly, a couple times a week, what have you, whatever your cadence is, and you're only getting 1,000, 10,000 views, that's likely what we're going to need to price you at, because everyone has different engagements, typically where the price points will come in, and obviously it's a discussion, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so for me, those are big ones.
Yeah, that's pretty much how we work things here at Yellow Pike, and a lot of other agencies will as well. One thing I want to stress, because there is a little bit of contention between creators and agencies in terms of what's a KPI, which is a key performance index. That's a number that every brand is going to talk to us about, and what's a vanity metric. Vanity metrics are your followers. Vanity metrics are, I have that one YouTube video from 5 years ago that did 5 million views, and I'm trying to bank off that. That's kind of a vanity. It's the outlier in your repertoire. I'll tell you something else, especially for Twitch, that's vanity. A lot of people think they need to have it, they must have it, or they'll never get a brand deal. On average, we don't care if you're a partner. As long as you have great content, you can maintain a steady CCV and a steady flow of interaction with your community, which is going to be our next point. Actually, we may be interested. We may be looking at offering you a brand deal. It's not going to be shroud money, but you are going to get that email eventually. And I think that's a good place to start talking about community engagement in general as another really important metric. What do you think a creator that's getting 500 CCV every hour, but never talks to their chat? What do you think their engagement level is? Is that right?
Well, at first I'm like, incredible. But no, I would think that it's low.
Right. So one of the things Shane had mentioned was variety streamers, and I think this is another stress point amongst creators, that they're never going to get somewhere if they're a variety streamer, because they're never going to hit big CCVs, and it's not true. Variety streamer gives you the opportunity to show that you can maintain good audience and also that engagement. Do you have a relationship with your audience? Because that's the other half of the equation. Shane, what does that mean?
Yeah, that seeing that your chat is engaged, and that really, if it's, hey guys, go check out my Twitch bio and click the link to download this game, or join me for this play session. Those are links that have metrics behind them that we and client will look at, and that's something that is important to see. How influential you are with your community, and it's something that. Say like Discord, how active it is, and sometimes there would be Discord activations, a little bit rare, it's harder to get, but something that engaging with your audience is important for sure. And say on Twitter that you have 100,000 followers, what have you, but when you send out a tweet, it doesn't really get any interaction. Like, to that end, it's less valuable, and it's difficult to maybe sell for a specific opportunity, and something that I'm definitely aware of, that someone like I'll throw out Mr. Beast. Really, he can tweet out whatever, and it'll have thousands upon thousands of retweets and engagement. And obviously, he's an extreme unicorn in this example, but just for throwing that out, he gets a lot of engagement with really whatever he does, and that is a really great place to be. And I touched on it earlier, but yeah, obviously, if you're starting out, you might be in more of a niche that you're particularly passionate or good at a game. Maybe it's Diablo 4 that's upcoming, what have you, again. But being able to touch on variety every once in a while, some streamers will do, say, like a sub or subscriber Sunday where they touch variety. I think that's really important, to start like dipping your toe into variety and showing your audience you can do more than just maybe the game or the genre you're known for. That would definitely be a tip as a creator, maybe starting off or kind of doing your thing, not getting pigeonholed into a certain game, because games come and go. Not everything can be Fortnite. Not everything can be other series. Like Rainbow Six Siege has been going for 8 years, but metrics there are going downwards with player count and all that. So it'd be tough to start off touching that game and saying, like, I'm going to grow to 1 million subscribers just playing this. It could happen, but unlikely. You just have to be mindful of that. So I think dabbling with variety there would really help out. So yeah.
And to talk about community engagement in the nonprofit space at Starlight, that was actually my title, was the coordinator of community engagement. And one thing we saw that, like, it surprised me at first, but it shouldn't have, is that those with the most engaged communities were often our highest fundraisers, because we knew that those communities were showing up for the streamer and not necessarily for like the great headshot or like incredible gameplay. So if we were able to get the content creator to, buy into our mission and show them all the good work we were doing, and they could share that with their community, and their community was like very engaged, it would always do well.
And that translates directly into brand deals, right? Because
Yes.
even as a smaller creator, if I go and I see that, you tell your community, hearts and chats for the mods, and chat explodes, you've got a lot more credibility with me right away than you ever did with your CCVs, because your community is there for you. So that is a huge tip. It's not about the game, it's about you. It's a good kind of personal brand tip too. Whatever you're doing in the space, make it about you, make it your brand and what you bring to the table, not what the game brings to the table. Because as Shane said, games change. People come and go. They're interesting games come and go, but as long as you're the reason the audience is showing up, brands love it, and you'll actually just do far better as a creator in general, even if you're not looking for brand deals. One of our big problems, I think, sometimes, and I'm going to go back to email for a minute, timely communications. How important, Alex, is it for you to get a response in a timely manner, not 3 weeks later with oh, is this still available?
Very important. And I would say, I know timely manner depends on like the person who's saying it. For me, timely manner means 24 to 48 hours. Oftentimes, what I'm doing is sending an initial outreach with like very little information, because all of the clients we work with, we need to be under NDA with the content creator before we can share details. So, of course, you're sitting at your desk, you're looking at your email, you get a weird, vague email from someone at Yellow Pike that says, "Hi, we'd like to get you involved in this project we can't tell you about, but we need you to sign an NDA." If you go, that seems sketchy, I need to wait, and you think about it for like 2 weeks, by the time you get back to us, the opportunity might not be available anymore. Um, so yeah, timely communications, top priority for me.
Yeah, ideally you check your email once a day. I understand that you stream for, say you're a streamer 4, 6, 8, 12 hours, if you're really on that grind. But just popping in your email and seeing if there's any sponsorship, brand communication. And obviously it'll go to another level if you have an agency or a talent manager or what have you. But baseline is staying on top of your emails, because opportunities do come and go, and some stuff is very timely where the turnaround is very quick. And we need to know, are you available? Or are you interested? Do you want to hear more? Things of that nature. So that definitely helps for sure.
And I will say, to me, if there's two creators who are very alike in the genre of games they play, their CCV, like on paper, very alike, but one of them responds faster than the other, that will push it. That will push it a little bit over for me.
It is a mark in your favor, because it tells us you're aware, you're paying attention, you're going to be easier to communicate with, and you're more likely to meet our deadlines when we have them. So we spent most of this time talking about how to make it easier for us to find you. Well, the easiest way, guys, is just to reach out, right? So what should creators do if they're looking to sort of make that first pitch to a brand? Say somebody wants to work with, I had beefaroni for lunch, so this will be embarrassing. Say somebody wants to work with Chef Boyardee. What should they do? How do you go about it?
They should go to Chef Boyardee's website, socials, any other thing they can find about them online. Find a good contact. At the basic, it might be info@chefboyardee.com or whatever their website is. And pitch yourself. Say why you love Chef Boyardee. Make sure you link your social channels. And if you have an idea for a partnership already, include it. Like, brands would love to hear that you're already coming with ideas.
Yeah, what I love to see is, I follow a bunch of people on Twitter and see someone's tweeting at Mountain Dew a whole bunch. I'll use Courage from Hunter Thieves and whatnot. That he was tweeting at Mountain Dew for months and months and months, and then all of a sudden he has a partnership or a flavor with the energy beverage version of it. And it's like, wow, like how organic was that? But it has to start somewhere. So I'm not saying you need to go and gas up every brand on Twitter. But that's just something that I noticed, and that came to fruition. For example, one thing that if you're starting off, you probably won't have, but something that is nice is a sizzle reel. Obviously, this is a bit above and beyond, but something that if I was a brand and I represented whoever. And a creator came to me, is super interested, and they provided a sizzle reel of prior work. It's something really rare, and I think it's an underused asset and a great selling point that shows. Have you worked with other brands and sponsored content? Give examples of that. Are there any metrics you want to share? What does that content look like? That's something that I've been asked for certain opportunities of, Shane, we love this or that creator, this streamer. Can you show me an example of a sponsored stream or a sponsored video, or say like an integration? How did they present the product and they hit their talking points? What was their cadence? Stuff like that. So they're being able to provide that up front, I think, is a large bonus and something that not a lot of creators think about. And not saying you need to do it, but from our end on the professional side, something that we do all the time is just a sizzle reel to sell ourselves and show what we're about, show our work. What has my channel done? Things of that nature. So that would be something that I would be very impressed by, for example.
I would add to that and reinforce, your metrics, your data. If you can provide audience demographics, if you understand these things and you can present them to a potential client as part of your package that you're sending to them, they immediately get a sense of your professionalism. They have numbers they can work from to understand if you fit in, their KPIs. And it just sets a very clear tone that this is someone, we should at least look at. If you're coming at your maximum level of professionalism, you're at least going to get the look. We've talked about a lot of different things that are and aren't important. So feel free to listen back, pick out those things we mentioned about KPIs and CCV and average views, and use that knowledge and go forward and put together an amazing package and start pitching brands you. Don't just wait for brands to pitch themselves to you. There's nothing wrong with it. There's no magic CCV. We have worked with creators as low as 25 CCV on Twitch to 25,000 CCV. Don't ever count yourself out, I think is probably the biggest message we can come away with from this entire 45 minutes or so. Any parting thoughts, Alex?
Based on what you just said, I did have one actually, which is if you're a smaller creator or you're just getting started, and if you're trying to put together that sizzle reel or that media kit, but you haven't worked with any brands before, because I'm coming from the nonprofit space, look into fundraising for a charity on Twitch. They make it super easy. One of my favorite tools is Tiltify. Charities can sign up with Tiltify, and then you as a creator can browse the charities, do a charity stream, and then use that for your sizzle reel.
Very good tip. Very good tip, especially because there are great charities like Starlight. I know St. Jude's is kicking off their Play Live. I know that because they sent me a box. Thank you, St. Jude's. Appreciate it. And just any kind of charity, something you believe in, you're passionate about, it really gives a great example of what you can do and how you can move your community to really engage with whatever it is that you're presenting to them. Shane, last thought.
I feel like we touched on just a lot of good information and little tidbits, and I would, based off what I just said about sizzle reels, another above and beyond that I would love to see. Again, if you're just starting off, you don't need to have, but if you have any logos, transparent ones, that's something that we'd often use for decks or wrap reports to talk about metrics, presenting to client. Stuff like that is sometimes difficult to get from creators, but if you're mindful of that and just have it available, I would be extremely impressed by, especially with like a PNG transparent background, stuff like that makes it extremely easy for me to work with. And just having some great pictures on social, not saying you need professional headshots, but stuff like that is also really useful for us to put into our pitch decks when trying to sell you. Again, we want to work with you if we reached out and want to see if you're interested and available. And yeah, really having that link tree and that business contact email. And one thing I don't think we touched on yet, but on Twitter, you get to pin something. People like to pin their links. That's also a way to do it if you want to do something else with your link bio and Twitter, for example. So a little tidbit there is to type out your socials, whatever is latest and greatest. Make sure it's not expired and the links actually work. And if you need to update it, then pin something new. So make sure your links work, I guess, is another big takeaway.
Broken links are just killers.
It really doesn't help me out. But yeah, so do you and be you, and ideally, the viewers show up for you and not necessarily just because you're good at one particular game that may fall off in a year or two or what have you. So that's really where you want to get to, in my opinion, and variety is the spice of life. So take that for what you will.
Awesome. I'm going to throw one more thing in there. It's kind of self-serving for all of us. Please whitelist Yellow Pike Media in your email clients so that we don't end up in your spam folders. Sometimes we do. So if you want to hear from us, help us out a little bit by doing that. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate this. Welcome to Yellow Pike.
Thank
I hope we haven't
you.
abused you too much. We threw you in front of cameras and microphones and said speak. So hopefully the rest of the job's just easy.
No one told me this was on video until 30 seconds before, but I think I'll survive, and I think Shane will too.
You did fine. You did fine, both of you. And thank you, everyone, for listening. We'll do this again next month. In the meantime, if you would like to learn more about who we are and what we do, you can go to yellowpikemedia.com, and you can actually sign up for our newsletter there as well. Everyone, have a great month. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you guys.